What's going on YouTube? It's Jeffman316, your pop culture reporter, coming back to you with my weekly pop culture report. This is going to be for the week ending December 19th, which means, we're less than a week away from Christmas with this report, and then the next one would come after Christmas. I want to go ahead and apologize because I didn't do a weekly report last week. I'm going to still continue to call these weekly reports because I'm going to do about a week's worth of news, even though I may miss a week here or there. This week had Christmas coming up, between that and work being crazy with everybody taking off and us trying to get the schedule organized. I just didn't have time to do one, but it's probably a good thing because I've got a lot of news that connects together this week. So before we get into the news report, if you do me a favor and go ahead and hit the like button as we go along, or at the end add any comments that you want of the news that you liked or comments that I make that you agree or don't agree with, and then hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. That way, if you do hit the notification bell, once I post more of these weekly reports or other videos that you might be interested in, you'll be the first to know, and you can come back over to the channel and check it out. So let's get going with the news. So like I said, this is going to be news that officially ended the week of December 19th, starting the new week. Like I said, I apologize for not doing another one, so this may be a little bit of a mixture of things that happened over the last 2 weeks. But let's go ahead and do like we've done in the past, and let's get the somber news out of the way. We did have a couple of key deaths in the entertainment world this week. The first one I'd like to mention is Charlie Pride. He died at the age of 96. If you're not aware who that is, I wanted to mention him because he's been pretty significant in the history of country music. He was, to me, from what I understand and just from what I remember from my childhood, he was the first major black country music singer that hit the top of the charts and became a country music superstar. So he broke some barriers there, and he's pretty important figure in the history of country music, so I wanted to go ahead and mention him there. Then we also had another actor that I remember from my childhood or younger days, and more recently, Tiny Lister. He died at the age of 62. He was most recently known for playing Debo, a character in the Friday movie with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. But I remember him most from my early wrestling days because he played Zeus. I think Zeus was the name of his character in the No Holds Barred movie that starred Hulk Hogan. So that kind of connects to some of the other pop culture things that I like on this channel, wrestling and whatever. And then I'll go ahead and mention one of the ones that you guys, as far as pop culture fans, will recognize the most, Jeremy Bulloch. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was the actor that played Boba Fett in the original Star Wars movie, so I guess that would have been, he showed up in The Empire Strikes Back, and most notably in The Return of the Jedi. And then this will link to some of the other news later because Boba Fett becomes important in the Mandalorian universe that we'll talk about later. So if we'll go ahead and start out in just some of the more entertainment news related to TV, movies, video games, and that kind of stuff. I thought it was pretty interesting. I saw a video that was the early trailer for the Evil Dead video game. It looks like Ash Williams is going to come back and fight the Evil Dead again, and Bruce Campbell is involved. So it looks like he's going to voice it, and I think he was involved in the creative aspect of the game. So that should be very interesting. I really wish that he had done, instead of doing that Star series, Ash versus the Evil Dead, that he had done maybe a follow-up movie, linked it into the new Evil Dead movie, or just actually have it as a legit sequel to Army of Darkness. But either way, kind of along those lines of linking into things of the past, this news report could be labeled the reboot review, because a lot of the news I've got is either on sequels or continuing movies or legit reboot ideas that people have in it. Maybe we just have run out of new entertainment ideas, but it looks like a lot of people have new things coming along that are related to reboots. One of the things I read most recently is Seth MacFarlane of Family Guy fame. He wants to do a reboot of the 80s classic comedy Revenge of the Nerds. I don't know how that would work this day and age, political correctness. I guess if there's somebody who can overcome the age of political correctness, it would be Seth MacFarlane, because on Family Guy, it doesn't look like he has any subject that he's afraid to touch or make fun of. So maybe he would be the perfect one to redo it. I don't know. Could a reboot of Porky's be around the corner? I'm not sure. Then I read some more news that HBO wants to develop a reboot of their series True Blood. Now, I don't know why they just wouldn't do like a sequel series or whatever. They actually use the word reboot. I really love True Blood, but that isn't that old and it hasn't been off the air that long. Maybe they're looking for new content for HBO Max or something. I heard that Adam Sandler is either signed, I haven't confirmed, or is going to sign a new Netflix deal. I'll have to say that his first deal, whatever money they paid him, to me, they overpaid him, because he hasn't had a lot of truly great comedies that have come out with his deal on Netflix. A lot of them have fallen flat. It's almost like he just did it to get some of his old SNL buddies paying gigs. But one of the cool ideas that I heard that they're batting around is he might do a sequel to his classic Billy Madison. I really liked Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, some of his earlier films. So maybe they can do some sequels or follow-ups to those, and those might be pretty neat. I don't know, did anybody catch the trailer for the Wrong Turn reboot movie? I was a fan of the first two Wrong Turn movies. Not so much a lot of the sequels. If they really didn't, to me, need to be tied in to the Wrong Turn franchise. They could have almost just been their own own branch of a movie, or just a different take on the franchise. But I like the trailer. They overdid it a little bit and went over the top to try to get it like a Purge type vibe with the way the music was playing in the background. But it looks fairly interesting. So I guess if I tried out the first two and liked them, maybe they're going to do fans of the series some justice and go ahead and do the reboot and ratchet it up a notch, and maybe make it really higher quality than the last 3 or 4 sequels that they tried to pump out straight to video. Speaking of returning to movie franchises, I heard that Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O, that they're on the set filming the latest Jackass 4 movie, and within 2 days of filming, both of them ended up having an accident on set that ended up sending them to the hospital. So within the first 2 or 3 days of shooting, like I said, hopefully that's not an omen. But I really like the Jackass movies. They're just mindless, comedy fun, watching that whole gang, hurting themselves as they try to do those stunts. But I'm looking forward to Jackass 4. But I do worry, those guys are getting a little older, and I don't know if their bodies are going to be able to take a lot of the punishment that they do with a lot of those stunts. Another reboot news nugget is it looks like they may be trying to do a reboot of the classic comedy TV series Night Court. And it could involve, the storyline could involve Harry Stone's daughter. And as you know, Harry Anderson, who played Harry Stone, he passed away not too long ago. So, he won't be able to be involved. But I guess they're trying to, pass the torch on to his daughter and have at least something that'll remind fans of Harry in there. But speaking of the original cast, John Larroquette is going to come back as executive producer. And he will be reprising his role from the original series. What was his character's name? Brain fart there. Let me see. He's going to reprise his role as Dan Fielding. That's it. Dan Fielding was his name. Shit, man, that's been so long ago. I can't even remember the characters' names. But I used to love my dad and I used to love watching Night Court together. So be very interesting. I'll try that series out and watch it again. Another thing is being rebooted, and this is probably some old news. A couple months ago, they announced that in some form or fashion they're rebooting the G4 television channel. It used to be on cable, doing movie news, mostly video game news, I guess. But they kind of had a pop culture vibe. They were the first ones that would report on like Comic-Cons and stuff like that when it first started. I don't know if you caught it, but they did a Thanksgiving special where they brought back most of the original cast members, or not really cast, whatever you want to call them, like reporters, internet reporters that were on their show. And Olivia Munn is where I remember seeing her get her start there. I love Olivia Munn. I think she's funny. I think she needs to do more movies. She was most recently in a movie I watched, Buddy Games. That movie wasn't great, but the part that she was in was really good. I think we need to see more Olivia Munn on television. I can just sit back and remember seeing her now doing her reporting with her Princess Leia slave outfit on. It was just like yesterday. Let's get more of that, please. But you obviously know I kind of like wrestling based on the content that's on this channel. Xavier Woods, a member of the New Day, he's going to be involved. He's a really big gamer and has got his own YouTube channel about gaming. I think it's called Up Up Down Down, and he's going to be involved as some kind of host, probably, of a show on there. Not really reboots, but to go back to older movies. There was a lot of news coming out the last couple weeks about the Spider-Man 3 movie that some of the cast members from previous Spider-Man movies may be involved. Most notably, recently, Alfred Molina, who played Doc Ock in the original Spider-Man Tobey Maguire series of movies. And everybody's assuming that this is going to come to be some kind of multiverse that spills into the MCU. I personally think that it's probably going to end up being more of a glorified either cameo or a way to bring the Sinister Six together, and they may be using versions of the villains from different universes. I think it's going to be too big and convoluted if they try to bring too many characters back from those series. So I'm not sure you need that many, but that's one of the really good ones, I think, from that series of films. I really like Doc Ock. So let's go ahead, and everybody knows there's no way I can do this without mentioning my buddy Grogu's series, Mandalorian. The last 3 episodes of that season 2 were spectacular. I'm not going to spoil anything in this video, but if it did have some returning characters from the Star Wars universe that people love, I'm going to do a spoiler review of the last episode once it's been out about a week. I want to give some space to that, let it settle on the internet for a while. But since I was a Star Wars fan when I was a kid, I really want to bring, wrap my hands around it and bring out some things that I liked and some of the things I worry about what's going to happen with Mandalorian Season 3 based on the ending. But if you haven't watched it, after you watch my video, stop it, get off YouTube and go watch Mandalorian, the last episode of Season 2. You won't regret it. So that'll segue into what's going to be a lot of news based on Disney+. I think it was an investor call that they did, was it last week? Well, a week before, either way. But it was so much news that came out of there that there's no way I couldn't mention it here. I heard an interview with somebody from Disney Plus on, maybe it was Entertainment Weekly Radio on Sirius XM. It was something where they were talking about one of the shining spots for investors for Disney over the last year, because of COVID killing everything else as far as the parks and everything, was Disney Plus, and how they knew that they were going to find a way to expand Disney Plus and try to bring more people under the fold of that, and boy did they. I'm going to go ahead and go over to my computer and read some of the news that came out of there, because they released news about a ton of television content that's coming to Disney Plus. And I'm going to go ahead and take my glasses off and read some of this to you. But some of the shows that they mentioned was Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka, which is obviously based on Ahsoka Tano, who Rosario Dawson debuted as that character on The Mandalorian, the latest season. Those two shows were announced to be along the same exact timeline as Mandalorian. And I will drop a little hint, so I'm not going to give too much details, but if you didn't know the timeline of Mandalorian, you will after that last episode. And it happens right around, maybe 5 years after Return of the Jedi. And that's really important. It ties into the ending. But other shows that they mentioned was one called, I think it's pronounced Andor, and that's based on the character from the Rogue One movie. And since a lot of people think that that's basically the best movie since the original trilogies, the people might follow that a little, pretty closely. One of the biggest announcements, as far as I'm concerned, was things related to the Obi-Wan Kenobi television series is going to happen, and they're going to bring back Ewan McGregor, and Hayden Christensen is going to return to play Darth Vader. So that should be pretty awesome. And It'd be very interesting to see how they continue that story. Let's see, some of the other ones are is it pronounced The Acolyte, which looks like it's going to be in, it'll take place during the High Republic era. Then you've got some animated series, The Bad Batch. You've got one that looks like it's going to be an anthology anime series called Visions. Also announced was a droid story, which is an animated series that'll focus on the adventures of R2-D2 and C-3PO, which I kind of figured they might do that because I don't know if you remember when I was younger, they had a series called Droids, which was an animated series with those guys in it. There's a Lando Calrissian series called Lando that's coming out, and I think they're going to end up getting the Donald Glover is going to return and reprise the role of Lando that he played in the Solo movie, which he was one of the bright spots of that movie. Let's see, then you got on the feature film front, a new project was teased. The biggest announcement by far was Patty Jenkins' announcement, the next theatrical film set within the galaxy far, far away. It's going to be called Rogue Squadron. So that was I think one of the last major announcements they made. So tons of Star Wars. I almost feel like they're going to wring every last drop out of this, and maybe they're going to oversaturate things. But as long as this stuff spreads out over the upcoming years, looks like Disney Plus is the way to go, and they're going to blow Netflix and Hulu out of the damn water. Some other things that I think I saw on there outside of Star Wars were they're going to reboot the Fantastic Four franchise finally. I'm wondering why they picked that over the X-Men. Why not reboot that? But we'll see. And then one of the MCU shows that they mentioned were, I think there's one with Samuel L. Jackson that's going to be on there that's going to be called, was it Secret Wars? And there's going to be a Don Cheadle movie where he's going to called Armor Wars. And both of those series are not going to come out until 2022, I don't think. And then one of the things that I really liked, it looks like there's going to have an animated Marvel series called What If that's going to tell a lot of, what if this happened type of things. And I'm not a big fan of the comics, so don't get mad if I misquote this or misstate it, but I think that's where the Marvel Zombie showed up in the What If series. And if not, I did see a shot of Captain America as a zombie in there, so that might be where I'm confusing it. But either way, that's most of the news that came out of there. But one of the last things I wanted to mention on the movie front was, don't forget, Wonder Woman debuts this Friday in theaters on Christmas Day and simultaneously on HBO Max. So go out and get a subscription to HBO Max if you can, if nothing more for the first month, just to catch Wonder Woman on there. And then one funny note, I don't know if you caught it, but what's your take on the Tom Cruise rant that happened? He was on the set of the new Mission Impossible. Will that be number 7? And from what I understand, I listened to it, he had a pretty vulgar, if you want to call that, where it had a lot of curse words in it, rant to the crew mainly, I think, because they've already had some shutdowns because of COVID, and he's basically saying that COVID is costing people their jobs, and as long as they can work, they need to follow safety protocols. And when some people on his set didn't, he ripped them a new one on there. So I thought it was kind of funny, but I'm in agreement with him. I feel that way sometimes where I work, that people are too lax in this thing, and that people might not want to wear a mask and do that stuff because they don't think that it works or whatever. But if it can't hurt. So I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I'm just like, why not do it if you can at least help and it won't hurt? Why not just do it? Just do it just in case. So one thing we need to do is we need to talk about the new releases for the week. I didn't buy a lot this week, but there were a couple things that came out. And one thing, since it's been over a week, you'll know if you look back at the videos on my channel, but I'm going to go ahead and go through them anyway. So the first movie I got is a movie called Alone. See if you can see that. It says Jules Wilcox stars as Jessica, a grief-stricken widow who flees the city in an attempt to cope with the loss of her husband. When Jessica is kidnapped by a mysterious man and locked in a cabin in the Pacific Northwest, she escapes into the wilderness and is pursued by her captor. The key cast includes Mark Menchaca, Sorry about that if it's not how you pronounce it. From Ozark, and Anthony Heald from Silence of the Lambs. A white knuckle thriller overflowing with suspense, and the special feature is a making of. So alone, just from seeing the previews of that, I thought that sounded pretty good. So go ahead and set this up for you. So alone. The next movie, if you watch my top 20 Christmas things to watch at Christmas, you'll see this one features prominently, and it's a movie I already had just the regular edition of, but I went ahead and bought it. It's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This is the Steelbook. I haven't seen it anywhere but Best Buy. They had it like super cheap for on sale for Christmas. I think it's got the same special features as the regular Blu Ray, which are feature-length commentary with Randy Quaid, Beverly D'Angelo, Johnny Galecki, Miriam Flynn, and the only one I think that's missing is Chevy Chase. I'm not sure if he's done I think audio commentary from the first Vacation, but man, it's sorely missed that he didn't participate in this one. And then it's got the theatrical trailer, so Christmas Vacation there. Then I got another Steelbook, which this is the one I did a video on because I was so psyched to get it. It's a movie that's that I've liked over the years, and I was happy because this is an actual 4K release, and it's of the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic, Total Recall. So you get the 4K, the Blu Ray, and a digital. I've watched a few minutes of it, and the scenes on Mars on this are outstanding. They look great. So I can't wait to sit down and watch the rest of this over the holiday. I'm not going to bore you with the special features. There's a ton. Check out that video that I posted if you want to see more about Total Recall. And then the last Steelbook that I got is a movie that got delayed because of the pandemic, and then ultimately came out in limited release and is now finally on video. It's Tenet, and I got the Best Buy exclusive Steelbook of the 4K, Blu Ray, and digital HD, or digital 4K. And this one is Christopher Nolan's latest movie. I can't wait to check this out. I was looking to see, it says special features on the look to be looking at the world in a new way, the making of Tenet, over an hour of bonus features that explore the cast, sets, cinematography, locations, costumes, and everything. So that's pretty cool. Haven't seen this, and I don't know anybody that's seen it that's told me much about it. So can't wait to watch that. That's basically the only new release that came out other than Alone. Everything else was like older movies that came out on new formats, including this next one. And I missed out on this one, but somebody I know on eBay gave me a really good deal on this one. And it's the big box full moon collector's edition of the slasher classic Tourist Trap. I guess you can classify it as a slasher. I'm going to unbox this one later on the channel because this is a special edition. The actual Blu Ray itself, single edition, doesn't come out until I think February. But this one you get the remastered uncut version of the Blu Ray, uncut DVD, and then a figurine of the main character, I guess you want to call it, that Chuck Connors played. And then it comes in this cool like old VHS style box. And like I said, I'll just give you a quick view. And this one is actually signed, and I'm pretty sure it's signed by the creator, or I'm not exactly sure. I forget. That'll all be discussed in the video about the unboxing of this. So I'll open it up and we'll go over all that. So I'm going to go ahead and then towards the end of this, I'm going to give my quick takes on what's happening in the wrestling world. Once again, Raw was a cluster. I like the Firefly Funhouse, but even that Firefly Funhouse field trip they did was a bomb. I mean, it supposedly had some jokes that they wrote for Bray Wyatt for him to tell in the ring. It was a total, like I said, cluster. It was hot garbage. And I think Raw, at least on this last week, had the lowest ratings it's ever had, at least on USA, and everybody's pissed about it. The show was way too promo heavy. I know they got a pay-per-view TLC this weekend, but come on now, you can at least have some quality matches. They just have no entertainment value on Raw right now that for 3 hours they're stretched too thin. So SmackDown was a little bit better. They did have they're trying to stretch out the story to make Owens a legit contender for Roman Reigns, and Jey Uso keeps attacking him and trying to take him out of the match, but Owens keeps fighting back. So they're going to have their TLC match at the pay-per-view. But to me, the shining match of the night was Bayley versus Bianca Belair. You can really tell that even though Belair lost, she's a really bright spot on SmackDown and going to be a really big star for them in the future, and she can go. So I like her, and I hope they keep giving her a push. Once again, to me, before I even mention AEW, the show that won the week is NXT. Everything they did on that show blew away all three of the other wrestling shows that I saw some of this week. Rhea Ripley had an awesome match with Toni Storm. The two of those tore down the house. And then Kyle O'Reilly fought Pete Dunne in the number one contenders match. O'Reilly won, so he's going to get at New Year's Evil, I think is their show right after the beginning of the year. He's going to get a shot at Balor's title. They had Scarlett confronted Balor during one of the shows, and I'm pretty sure everybody assumed that that was going to be Karrion Kross was going to come back soon, and he was going to go after the title that he never lost, that he had to just give up because of injury. And then Damian Priest made some smart ass comments about Scarlett and Damian, and then at the end Kross ended up showing back up, so he debuted again after his injury. And he attacked Priest, so I guess they're going to have a match at New Year's Evil as well. AEW was just, to me, was still not a good show again. It was an hour and a half of the same old, and then they did have a really good match with Kenny Omega and Joey Janela, which was an AEW World Title Eliminator match. It was no DQ, so it had a lot of good spots in it. Janela was hopefully going to get a future world title shot, but that was shut down because Omega won. But still, once again, I still think NXT was the best show. TLC does have the pay-per-view this weekend. It's got a few decent matches on it. We'll talk about that next week. So I don't know what's going to shake out with that. But like I said, NXT was the bright spot. So I think I'm like normal. I'm going to go ahead and end this with some what do you want to call them, words of wisdom or final thoughts. I'm not going to be silly this week. It's Christmas is coming up. I really think that there's some things in this world that we all need to work on. If nothing else, we need to start thinking about other people instead of ourselves all the time. I was telling that to my wife about a conversation we were having. I'm not going to get into what it was, but I told her that's basically what's wrong in the world is everybody's out for themselves. They don't think about anybody else. And if there's a time of the year that we should flip that script and start thinking about others, and even if it's the smallest of things that we can do to help each other, this is the time of the year to do it. And maybe 2021 will be a better year for everybody, and everybody will start thinking about others and treating people differently, and have a more positive outlook on life. So with that being said, even though this is a quote from a movie, I think it's a very good quote. So I'm going to end the video with this. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you can't do something. If you've got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They're going to want to tell you you can't do it. If you want something, go get it. Period. So if you don't know what that quote is from, it was from a character called Chris Gardner, and that was played by Will Smith in the movie Pursuit of Happiness. And that's what we need a lot more in this world right now is happiness. So that's a really great movie. I will have to say that every time I watch it, I tear up at the end of it. It's pretty powerful. So if you haven't seen that movie, go out and watch that one. Speaking of that, I'll go ahead and wrap up by saying check out a couple videos I posted this past week. I posted my Christmas list of the top 20 movies that I would watch, and then I also posted the 10 reasons why I think Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Got the Die Hard Christmas book right here in the video. And so with that being said, go ahead and if you do me a favor now, comment on this video, hit the thumbs up and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm new to YouTube and I need all the support I can get, and then hit the notification bell, because when I post this video, and if nothing else, the weekly reports, you'll be the first to know as soon as I do. So I hope everybody has a great Christmas and a happy new year, and this is Jeffman316, your pop culture reporter, signing out saying You guys be safe out there. Ho, ho, ho.